it's very different. Obviously, it's for us. We obviously didn't get to finish our season, and then not making the playoffs. We got a handful of months, extra, as we were saying earlier. But I think the big thing for me too is I didn't know if I could cross the border for a little bit. My girlfriend, she's American, so she can't cross. The quarantine things, but the main thing is I think usually in the summers when the season ends, I either head to out west to California or back home in Brantford or the Toronto area to train. And luckily enough, it's I'm in Buffalo now, so I'm close enough where I can stay in Buffalo and do that. But at this point, nobody really knows what's going to happen, and I think we've all kind of been like that in the last couple of months here. So
during the summer, usually like players get to see other players, whether it's for training or just hanging out kind of thing. Have you been able to like keep up with your teammates at all?
Yeah, a little bit. I think little things like this. I think once this all hit the fan there, we spent a couple days in Buffalo, and then everybody kind of went back to wherever they're from. So since the middle of March, early March, we haven't seen each other or nothing like that. But you got your Zoom calls, and you text back and forth. But other than that, it's kind of been quiet.
With just with having to stay busy during the long, as you said, it's like a longer off season than usual, and with a lot of rinks being closed too for majority of the COVID pandemic, how have you found ways to just kind of like stay active that you would usually do during the off season that you couldn't do now, really, with the rinks closed?
Yeah, a little bit different. With so much time, you need to kind of find a routine on, you have 8-9 months, I guess, till we, best case, we play again. And, finding the time when what's good for rest or what's smart to start getting on the ice again or, little things like that. So I think I took a little bit more time. I got another puppy Christmas time, so I mean we managed with this little guy here, training him and stuff like that. And then headed out to California. I bought a kind of an investment property, using it more for rentals and vacation stuff in Palm Springs. So we spent a couple of months there fixing and finishing that place up, furnishing that. So that took a lot of time, and now we're kind of back. We went back to Buffalo here and kind of relaxing this. I'm picking it up, training, started skating actually the last week here or so, and starting up that again. So
are you guys preparing for like maybe a restart in December, January? Is that where your head's at, or?
Not really familiar. Set date, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess it all depends on how all this bubble playoffs works out and how that manages. Hopefully everything goes smoothly like it looks like it's going. And I think as soon as they hand out the cup, I'd like to say maybe a month or so, and hopefully we can get right back to it, because watching this hockey from my standpoint, me sitting on the couch, I'm losing my mind. So
I was about to ask, like, what's it like for you being able to watch these games with no fans, and like, what's that like as just a player, seeing people like friends in the league and just watching them play in a completely different environment?
It sucks for us, because I think I got to taste my first few years in the playoffs, and how awesome that was, and the experience and the intensity. And then last year getting traded to Buffalo, we didn't make it. And then this year not making it again. It's, longer summers, and then you have 8-9 months off. You have no idea what, my whole life is playing hockey, and having 8 months off, it's, having 4 months is ridiculous, but having 8 months is, that much worse. So, but watching on TV, it looks pretty good. I don't know from their eyes playing, seeing no fans or nothing like that. That's probably an adjustment, but I think in the end, they're all competitors, and they're the intensity and I guess the competitiveness just amps up, because it is playoffs, and you're kind of back in and you're one step closer to winning it, right?
I remember when I saw you get drafted, and then I saw you play your first game in the NHL. I was like, holy shit, I know that guy. So that was like my welcome to the NHL moment for you. What was your What was
Yeah,
your,
we need to know Matt's first moment
man,
in
I
watching.
remember I was working at TSN and I messaged Montour. I was like, dude, I have your game tonight. I was like, I'm in charge of your game. I was like, score me a fucking goal. And then but yeah, what was your like, holy shit, I'm in the NHL moment, whether it's your first game or just down the line?
Yeah, I think that was obviously pretty cool. Yeah, it was not necessarily a long time, but I spent a year before in the AHL before I started or played my first game. So it was a little bit longer process, I guess, for me. And we had so much. But no, the first game was pretty cool. It was in Calgary. Just that whole experience. But I think probably my first would have been, or where I felt like this was it, was when, because I grew up being a Red Wings fan and we played the Wings. I don't even know what game. It was like probably game 5 or 6. We played the Wings and just kind of playing those guys and seeing Zetterberg out there and, some big guys that I grew up watching and looking up to. I think that was where I noticed it. And then, you score your first goal and everything, but just putting on the jersey, I guess, and playing a real game is where it, kind of started.
Do you remember your first NHL goal?
Yeah, it was in Tampa.
Do you remember who it was against?
Ben Bishop.
Yeah. Do you remember how you scored it?
Yeah,
I think Matt knows more about you than you might know about you.
Dude, I'm fired up for this interview. I remember messaging Montour like a month ago, being like, "Hey, come on our podcast, please."
Yeah, no, I came right. It was actually a funny story. That whole thing is, I was in the American League and we play in San Diego, so we were playing in Ontario, and that's probably a 2-hour drive. And our coach back then, Dallas Aikens, we wouldn't have to wear suits, so we wore a tracksuit. And after the game, I got called up, so I went from Ontario, and all I had my tracksuit, maybe a backpack, and I had to fly all the way to Tampa to play. And I show up in my tracksuit, and all the guys, they're all laughing and stuff like that. But all I had was my tracksuit. Showed up to the game, and that game I scored. Yeah, so it was pretty cool.
Let's keep going on your NHL career. Who's been your toughest matchup so far? Like, you've played against the likes of Crosby, played against the likes of guys like Ovechkin. Who's been your toughest matchup?
There's so many guys you can't pinpoint. McKinnon's a tough guy. McDavid obviously is a tough guy. I think those guys that have so much speed and play so fast and are so quick, you got to kind of maintain and kind of read off them, because they'll make you look, silly at any time. But I've had a chance to play in the West. Now in the East, you play guys different and play guys more. Patrick Kane's another guy that, just those shifty guys that play so smart but play so fast. I think those guys are the ones you kind of, Ovechkin's kind of a guy that he's so big and powerful, but, he's not one to want the puck all the time, or, he gets to a spot and you got to watch. Obviously, he's shooting the puck like crazy, but I think those guys that want the puck and, play with the puck all game and they're so fast. Pasternak's another guy that, not necessarily the quickest guy, but he's so smart with the puck and so smooth.
Is there?
But you can. Oh, go ahead.
No, okay. I was going to ask, is there somebody that you like absolutely hate on the ice, but are friends with off the ice and enjoy their company off the ice?
I don't even know. I don't know. I think the guys that I don't get along with or hate, I don't really know off the ice. So I'm a type of guy that, if I'm buddies with you or something, I'll play you hard, but I'm not gonna, in a game, I'm not gonna hate you. Or, I'm not gonna. I'll try to rip your head off, I guess, during the game, but after, it's all fun and games, and we'll joke about it after. But I don't have a guy that I hate on and off the ice, I guess.
Is there a team maybe that you enjoy? Like, I know there's maybe a team you really like to play because you always seem to do well against them. Is there a team that you seem to maybe turn the physical aspect up a little bit more when you play against them?
Yeah, I mean, when I was in the West, LA was one because we played them and so close. Calgary was I think I'm not a big fan of Calgary's guys, or I mean, they're a good team and all, but every time we, I guess, played them, they're just, it was a pain in the ass, and we had some pretty good battles against that group there. We played them in the playoffs a couple of years ago, and anybody in the East here, it's always fun playing the Leafs. being with the Sabres now, and Pittsburgh's another team that, you know, they got some good guys, but, you know, they're pretty mouthy, and good to battle those guys. But yeah, I think I'm just trying to pinpoint some names. Those are some teams probably there.
Okay, you mentioned the Penguins being mouthy. Who's the mouthiest player in the league, and your point of view when you're playing?
Besides myself?
Yeah, I was gonna say Montour is pretty chirpy. I remember high school. The guy didn't have, or always had a comeback for something.
Yeah, I'm probably the same way. Chirpy guys, I don't know. There's a lot of guys out there. I don't know if I can pinpoint one guy, because I mean, I think every team has, you know, one shit rat, or, you know, some guy that, you know, some guy that buzzes around and yips all game.
I remember
absolutely.
I went to it was the game in March. It was the Sabres against Penguins. I think it was actually the last game before you guys stopped the season, or maybe a couple games before. And every time you'd go into a scrum, I'm like, that's Montour. I was like, I know him. He's fighting people, trying to be a shit disturber. I know him right now. And then, like, I was with some people from my old work. They're like, dude, shut the fuck up. I was like, no, just watch him. I was like, he's in all the tough corners and stuff like that.
Matt had a sign that said, "Please give me a puck, Montour. I love you."
No, truthfully, I had a Penguin shirt on, but
Wow, you're gonna do that to him, eh?
I wanted to see Crosby play
Jeez.
first game, or I've never seen Crosby play. What was I gonna ask you? Is there okay? So I was looking at your hockey DB, and you don't have a fight yet in the NHL. That's like the most surprising thing to me. Not that you were like a fighter in school or anything like that. But I mean, is there a reason why you haven't dropped the mitts yet?
I honestly, you know, there's been times where I've dropped my gloves, or but they don't last. It's usually, you know, you drop your gloves, and I've had some, you can't really say fights. They're more 4-minute roughing penalties is what I usually get.
Yeah.
But I've dropped my gloves a couple of times with guys, but, you know, either the refs are coming in, or I haven't got to a point where really if somebody gets crushed, or a guy gets hit bad, or I've never had an opportunity to really where I've had to square off with somebody or nothing like that, you know. It's kind of just in between the whistles, I guess, or you know, fast plays that have happened. But yeah, I'd like to get into one, honestly. Just the way I guess I play, being as physical, or into the play, I guess, is how I play. But yeah, I mean, I just haven't had really. I could say the opportunity, I guess, has been there. It just never really fully turned into a 5-minute penalty. I my first year, I dropped a glove center ice with a guy, and he was big. He was bigger than me, but he kind of just jumped me, and we fell, and I was trying to tell the ref to give me a 5-minute, just to give me a fighting major. but he gave me 2 instigator and 2 rough, so I only had a 4-minute there. So
They're probably all pissed off in the box.
The guys are laughing, but no, I mean, it'll come eventually.
Would you rather your first fight be against like one of the well-known heavyweights in the league, or would you rather have it against some like scrawny guy in the league that you know you could hand his ass to?
Yeah,
I mean,
honestly,
both ways, it's a good story.
Yeah, I think I'd probably stay away from the heavyweights to get my, you know, embarrassment. But I think both stories would honestly work. You know, you show up against a tough guy, or you beat the shit out of a little guy.
Yeah.
Either way, you know. It'll come though, whatever it may be. We'll call after the first one here.
Yeah, as soon as it happens, forget your post-game interviews. We'll get you on another Zoom, and we'll get you on the podcast again.
Yeah.
You had a really different career path compared to a lot of people coming up and trying to play in the NHL. You didn't play in the OHL. You forego that. Can you talk about your decision there to just not go in the OHL?
Yeah, I was a late bloomer. I was a little smaller in the draft. Wasn't drafted, but actually after the draft, you know, the OHL teams have other invites to camps and stuff like that. And I went to before the draft, actually, I had a scholarship offer to school, and I always kind of wanted to go the school route and kind of get an education and play hockey at the same time. I thought that was a cool thing. Education, so I always had that in the back of my mind. But I think if I was drafted and had that opportunity, it would be different. And you go the OHL route. But I was invited to Guelph Storms camp after I didn't get drafted, and I showed up, and they actually offered, but it was like a 7th, 8th defenseman. So I wasn't gonna be the extra guy. So we turned that down and kind of just cruised along a couple of years junior B, and then kind of after 2 years of that, I wanted to see where I could go with it, and kind of skyrocketed or kind of got noticed after I left.
Were you surprised at like how high you got drafted? Because you said you were a late bloomer, you didn't play in the O, and you were offered that 7th, 8th extra defenseman position. But when the Ducks called you in the 2nd round, were you surprised at that, or were you betting on yourself the whole way?
Yeah, that was a couple of years before when the OHL and the Guelph Storm thing happened. That was, I don't even know when you get drafted the OHL, 15.
Yeah, it's like 15 right before you're 16 kind of thing.
15, 16, I think. Yeah. So I played that 16-year-old junior B, 17-year-old junior B, maybe 18-year-old, I think, and then I left 18, 19 to Waterloo in the USHL, and I think people started to notice me as soon as I got there, and that whole year kind of, agents trying to get a hold of the NHL teams were, there's 3-4 teams at every game, and I'd talk to, scouts after games, and I think that's kind of where, that opportunity or that kind of dream started, in a sense. When I was playing junior B, I always believed and thought I could play. But once I started, people started watching me play more because, we play in Caledonia or Brantford, you have a couple hundred people watching. And, you go to the USHL and I have a couple thousand. So that was a little different, but that's kind of when the opportunity and people started to watch,
Your draft process, did you interview with a lot of teams?
Yeah, there might have been 3 or 4 teams that I didn't talk to.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So, that whole process was, a lot because you had to talk to a group of, 10, 15, 20 guys in a room and just you. So that was a cool experience. And, some teams actually came to my parents' house and met me there. I know that, but, that whole experience was pretty cool. And Anaheim was a team that I thought, was really interested, and sure enough, we were in Philadelphia there and then drafted me in the 2nd round.
Did any teams ask you any obscure questions? You don't have to say what team, but did they ask you anything that's like out to lunch? Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, no, there's definitely, but I don't even know if they're really serious about it. They just wanted to kind of get a joke or scare you, or
right.
I think I think the whole buildup of being 19 years old or however old I was 19, but walking into a room and seeing 15 grown men in suits and briefcases and stuff like that, you're like, all right, what the hell is this? I think that's kind of the big thing, but it wasn't. There's some stupid or crazy questions, but nothing extreme.
One guy's probably like in the back writing something down, and you're like, "What the hell is he writing? What did I say?"
Yeah, they all have those guys that don't even speak, but they're just writing notes down, like
Yeah. Oh my God, that's nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Nick, do you have a question? I cut you off right before.
No, I was going to ask you about if there was any weird questions. So it's kind of the same stream there.
Yeah.
But I wanted to know actually though, especially like when you're a teenager and you're taking such a different route to the NHL. I know when you said like when they started to notice and you're like, okay, this is momentum, like it's coming. But like when you were a teenager in that, like maybe 14, 15, 16, like what were you thinking in terms of like, was the NHL really a goal of yours, or were you thinking, about other things, or maybe you should get something else, or?
Yeah. I think it always was a goal, and it's always what I wanted to do. But at that time, I think you're so young still, and you're trying to enjoy life. And I was just taking it kind of year by year, and you're getting through high school, and I was playing hockey at a competitive level. I was playing lacrosse still at a competitive level. You know, I was playing 2 sports. You know, playing well and, you know, just kind of really enjoying it. I think that's, and then I kind of found a point where I had to pick what sport to play. Hockey was always going to be that sport, but I had to, you know, quit lacrosse. And, you know, after that, I think I was like, all right, I got to see if I can actually do it. That's when I kind of left.
I remember, like, in high school and stuff like that, I remember you loving the hell out of lacrosse. So giving up lacrosse was probably one of the hardest things for you. Is there any, like, transferable skills between the 2 sports? Like, could you recommend lacrosse as another sport that players or that hockey players should pick up in order to just gain more skills?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think for me, I played lacrosse as long as I could remember. And as, you know, I touched the hockey stick when I touched lacrosse. Like, that's how, you know, much love I had for that sport too. And, you know, just the endurance and competitive, you know, lacrosse is so fast paced, and as well as hockey is, you know, and I think as much, I guess, I don't even know the word, competitiveness, I guess, I have on the ice, you know, I got from lacrosse, and kind of that defensive, you know, slashing as much as I shouldn't slash, or using my stick. You know, I think I get that from lacrosse, and I didn't think just endurance and, you know, the hand-eye coordination in lacrosse, and, you know, just the positioning wise and movement. I think for me, hopping in from winter playing hockey to summer playing lacrosse back and forth, definitely, for sure. And I think kids, and, you know, I think lacrosse is obviously growing a lot, and I think kids should, you know, definitely join that and, you know, play that sport for sure.
In the NHL, there's a lot of people that don't necessarily get the attention they deserve. Are there any underrated players that come to mind for you right now that you're just like, they're unreal? They might not get all the points on the board, but they're just so good.
Yeah, there's so many guys. I could even, I mean, I thought, you know, Pasternak was one guy that, you know, kind of the last 1 or 2 years, you know, he's kind of sprouted up and talked a lot, but the first couple of years there, you can tell that he had something, you know, that he was always going to be a good player. I think that Pedersen guy on Vancouver is, you know, another guy that they're still young. I think those young guys that, you know, come up and you see the talent, you just, you know, it's kind of cool seeing those guys grow and seeing how big they can get, you know.
Does it feel weird saying those young guys?
Yeah, because I'm still young, but you know, playing against, you know, guys that are, you know, born in '99 and 2000 now, it's kind of weird.
That's really
the only comparative I have is just watching NHL players get drafted now, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm an old man. And I watch
exactly, like my, you know, growing up, you watch the draft every year, you know, and you're just excited to watch. Even like Boxing Day, you know, you got World Juniors and stuff like that. Now you got kids that are 2001, 2002. You have no idea. That's when you feel old, I guess.
Yeah.
Brandon, is there anyone in particular when you were drafted, when you were a rookie, that took you under their wing, like a vet that kind of showed you the ropes and showed you the ways?
I don't know if there was one particular guy. In Anaheim, we had a bunch of older guys, veteran guys, which, you know, I was lucky to have. You know, Getzlaff, Harry, Kessler, Patrick Eves, Kevin Bieksa. Who else was there? We had a bunch of guys. Jason Chimera was there. Ryan Miller was there. So we had a bunch of just a good group to kind of lean on, or you know, whatever you need. I think a big guy who wasn't playing, was retired, but helped me out my first, you know, year or two, was Scott Niedermeyer. He lives in California still, but he was always around. You know, we'd go for coffee. He'd invite me to his house for some coffee or, you know, dinner or something like that. I think that's something that, you know, you always, you know, keep with you, and you know, kind of get advice from, you know, his experience with when he played. And I think that's a guy that, you know, is pretty good to talk to, you know. So was lucky enough to, you know, have a good group there that, you know, could help when needed.
You got to play with Adam Henrique as well, someone that we like from the same city. What was it like having that familiarity with Henrique?
Yeah, you know, he's a little bit older. Obviously, you know, we went to school with his little brother, so I knew his little brother more than him at that point. I knew he played hockey and he was in the NHL, but he's 4 years older than me. So when he was in Jersey, we obviously didn't see much of him. But then when he got traded, you know, we're really close now. You know, it sucked that we were only on you know, we're really close now. We talk all the time. He was out in California with me. Obviously, he lives there, but I was out there. We hung out, and now he's back in Canada. And but yeah, we train in the summer together. You know, we're really close, and you know, having that simulator. We're starting a golf tournament. We were supposed to start it this summer, but that didn't pan out because of all this stuff. So we're gonna get back to that next summer. And you know, having a guy like that so close, it's pretty cool in the same area. You know, to make it to where we are, and to be from, you know, similar areas, so similar experiences is pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll be in that golf tournament. I was kind of bummed when it got canceled because of COVID. I saw it pop up on Instagram. I was like, yeah, I'll go do that. And then when it got canceled, I was like, shit, I'll go do that next year.
Yeah, you know what? We set it up, and it was like pretty well booked up after like a day.
Yeah.
So I think the turnout's going to be great. You know, we're excited to kind of get that started. We're looking to do something for a couple of years there. So to get that started would be pretty cool.
Let's do some rapid questions to end this thing off. I'm just going to fire off some questions at you. They can be about anything and everything. I don't even want you to think. I want you to just answer. All right? All right. First one, what are you watching on Netflix right now?
Oh, you know what? Is it on Netflix? No, I don't know.
Or any streaming service.
Or any streaming service.
Me and my girlfriend have been watching $1 Million Listing Los Angeles. Have you ever seen that?
No.
Yeah, I have actually. Yeah, my girlfriend watches that.
Yeah, there's a lot of drama, but I mean, it passes time. We've watched so many shows, and you know, everybody has watched so many shows since this business started.
Are you a gamer at all?
I just started, actually. I'm not a gamer. You could say I am now, but since COVID started, a couple of my buddies got me to get a headset, so I got a headset, and I'm not very good, but I played the odd time.
All right. Side question: do you want to get dusted in NHL?
What's that?
Yeah, sure.
What is ducted?
Dusted.
Oh, dusted.
I thought you were just looking at me, chirping me for saying that. I was like, thanks, man. It's like, good to see nothing's changed. Fucking guy. Favorite pregame snack?
Ooh, honestly, probably a smoothie.
All right, I'll take that.
Just mix everything. Smoothie and a coffee. Usually, that's my go-to.
Favorite arena you've ever played in?
I love Chicago.
United Center is so nice.
Yeah, I love Chicago. I think the whole, you know, national anthem is. I think that if you've never experienced that or been to that kind of atmosphere, I think the national anthem is huge.
But how annoying is Chelsea Dagger when it plays? Really gets under your skin.
Yeah. You don't want to hear that, especially when Patrick Kane scores every game.
Yeah.
Yeah, United Center, Vegas. Vegas is obviously cool. You know, that's a new arena. That's pretty wicked to play.
Do you guys have curfews in Vegas, or do you have to not curfews, but are you allowed to go out in Vegas?
I mean, when I was in Anaheim, they wouldn't let us stay there. So
oh, really?
We'd fly in the morning of. So like we'd practice or pregame skate or stay the night late and then play the next morning and then be out. We didn't have the experience of being there. Buffalo we had a day before, but we'd practice or they set it up so we practice earlier, you know, something like where we wouldn't be able to do it or guys would be in one, you know. We have I mean I haven't had any experience being out there late. Teams have, obviously, you know, hear stories and stuff like that, but I haven't experienced that.
What songs are you listening to right now? What's your most played?
Oh, I got everything on there. Probably some hip hop right now.
Yeah? Who are you listening to?
Yeah. Let me see, my phone's listening right now. My last played song. I got some Wiz Khalifa.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, I got some Wiz Khalifa.
And the new T Swift album on there too?
Yeah. That's more you.
No way. You're telling me right now you haven't listened to it yet?
You've always been a T Swift fan.
Shut up.
Yes. He talks about T Swift all the time.
Shut
Yeah,
up.
he nailed it too, Matt. You just said you asked him if he hasn't listened to it yet. So I'm guessing you've already listened to it multiple times.
Yeah,
He knows all the lyrics now.
See, I honestly didn't even know T Swift had a new song or a new album.
I don't know if I believe you or not. If there's one player you could be on a defensive pairing with, whether they're retired or not, who would it be?
Oh, current, you gotta say like maybe Victor Hedman or someone like that. Past would be like Lidstrom or like maybe like Scott Stevens or someone like that. You know,
He's gonna take all your fighting majors though.
Yeah, true. But that, I mean, that doesn't. I don't mind that. I think Scott Niedermeyer would be another guy that would be pretty wicked to play with.
And the final question is, do you have any favorite like high school memories or like coming up playing junior hockey memories?
Oh, so many. I think I think a funny memory is when I started playing junior. I was the youngest guy on the team, and I was the only one that had to get dropped off by my parents. Everybody else could drive. I think that was pretty funny. But yeah, no, so many memories. I think high school we play in like you could say recess, but like lunchtime. Recess for Matt. But no, like lunchtime we'd go. We had a good group there that loved hockey, or we'd go to the gym and play hockey all lunch, or little things. I still talk to a handful of my good buddies there still to this day, and you have so many memories with those guys. Now we're I'm 26, 27, 28 years old. You're still talking to the same guys.
Yeah.
I have one final question before Matt. But what's the difference between Matt now and Matt in high school? Because we've seen the pictures of what he looked like back in high school. I think he has a little bit of a glow up.
Honestly, probably the same.
All right, I'm changing the outro to this. Changing the intro later too.
Yeah.
But seriously, Montour, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, buddy. This is a long time coming. I've been so happy to see you succeed in the NHL. I remember, messaging you and being like, this is so cool. Like, you got to your goal, you achieved your goal. And the funny thing is, in high school, like, hockey players have a shitty rep for the most part. Like, a lot of hockey players are just like jocks and assholes who won't really talk to people. But you were completely different in high school. You talked to anyone and everyone. You'd make fun of me all the time, whether it's in Miss Henry's writing craft class or in Donahue's American history class. It didn't matter. But you were just a nice guy. And I think that's one of the biggest things. And when I asked you to come on the podcast, I knew you'd say yes. I knew there was no way you'd say no to that. But thank you, Montour. Best wishes going forward. I hope you all the success in the world. We're rooting for you here. And we'd love to have you on again, buddy.
All right. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks.
Thank you, Brandon.
This is the Coast to Coast podcast. We'll catch you next time.